All right, so this next problem, we're doing the same thing. We're creating a table for the exponential function, and we're going to graph that function. So I'll just create my table for now, and I have x and f of x. And I'm going to keep this one simple. I'm going to say, what if we have x is -2, x is -1, x is 0, x is +1, and +2 here, +2. Okay, so what if we have these values for x? Let's go ahead and substitute these values into the function above. All right, so f of, I'm going to start up here, f of -2 is equal to 2/3 to the xth power, which will in this case be -2, so -2. All right, this one's a little bit tricky. I have a negative exponent, and I want to make it a positive exponent. So what I'm really going to do is just flip the reciprocal of 2/3 here. So let's just flip it. So what I really have is 3/2 to the second power. So what I really have here is 3 to the second power over 2 to the second power. So 3 to the second power, we get 9, over 2 to the second power, we get 4. So 9/4. F of -2 is equal to 9/4, or I could think about this as 2 1/4 here. So I'm going to rewrite that as f of -2 is equal to 2 1/4, or 2.25. So 2 1/4 here. So when x is -2, f of x, we have 2 1/4, 2 1/4, and I want to fix that 4, so 2 1/4, and I'm going to box all this information up. I'm going to slide it over just a little bit. All right, so what about f of -1? F of -1, that's going to be equal to, well, we got 2/3 again, 2/3 to the power of -1, or raised to the power of -1. And I'm going to flip this reciprocal again. So I have 3/2 raised to the power of +1, not -1 now. So simply I have 3/2. 3 raised to the power of 1 is 3. 2 raised to the power of 1 is 2 still. So I'm just going to write that f of -1, fix that line, that parenthesis there, close that parenthesis off, is equal to 3/2, or simply 1 1/2. So 1 1/2. And I forgot to box that one up. All right, so f of 0, that's going to be equal to 2/3 raised to the power of 0. Fix that 0 there, raised to the power of 0. And anything raised to the power of 0 is 1. So really what I have is 2 to the power of 0 over 3 to the power of 0, which is going to give me 1/1 here. So in fact, why don't I just write that out so we get a visual of it. So 2 to the power of 0 over 3 to the power of 0, which simply gives me 1/1. So f of 0 is equal to 1. And I keep forgetting to border this information off. So f of 1 is equal to 2/3 to the first power. And I want to fix those parentheses, those look ugly. And those aren't even great either, but probably better than the last ones. So 2/3 raised to the first power. So simply f of 1, in fact I'm going to change colors. F of 1 is equal to 2/3. And I'm going to border that off. and write 2/3 here, 2/3. Now let's look at when x is 2. So f of 2 is equal to 2/3 to the second power. Fix that 2. So now I have 2 to the second power over 3 to the second power, which is 4/9. So f, in fact I'm going to fix that f of 2 is equal to 4/9. 4/9 here. Alright, so now what I'm going to do is just delete this information and we'll go ahead and graph it. Nope. Alright, let's get that coordinate plane up on the screen. Alright, let's do 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 if needed, but probably not. I'll just do 1 here. Alright, so each time the tick mark's going to represent 1 unit, so I'm not even going to label this with numbers, and I'm just going to change colors. Alright, so if you're looking here, you can see my scale. It's not accurate. They're not evenly spaced. So I'm going to try to eyeball this and make it look as clean as possible. So when x is -2, I'm going to think of f of x as y. So when x is -2, well, I have 2 1/4 here for my y value or my output. So -2 and 2 1/4 is going to be somewhere. I'm just going to place it right around here. And I'm probably a little bit higher than where I need to be, but 2 1/4. And then when x is -1, y is at 1 1/2. So I'm going to say that's right about here. And when x is 0, y is at +1. When x is 1, y is at 2/3. So when x is 1, y is at 2/3. And when x is, in fact, I'm going to fix that point right there just to make it look a little cleaner. So y is at 2/3. And then when x is at 2, y is at 4/9. 4/9. And what we're going to see here, what we can see here, is that there is a curve. So what's happening here, what's really happening beyond this point is, well, let's go out just here. I'm going to try to make this as perfect as possible, or as neat as possible. So what's happening here is our graph here, it's starting high. It's starting high and it's shrinking quickly. It's decreasing quickly, and it's starting to curve or bend, and it's starting to level out as this line approaches the x-axis, and it's going to come close. It's going to come very close the further away from 0 it gets, but it will never touch. This line will never touch 0 in the case of this function here. So depending on our function, our line can actually change some and be moved up along the y-axis or down along this y-axis. And just know that as it again, as the line moves further away from 0, in this case it's going to come close to the x-axis, but it will never touch that line. Cool. I'll see you in another video.